With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Sports are all about teamwork, and so is insurance. Whether you need an in-person or digital assist, State Farm is there to help you choose the right coverage for your home, car, and more. Get a game plan that helps fit your life and talk to State Farm today. State Farm with the assist. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability and eligibility vary by state.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
My name is Happy Gilmore. I haven't swung a club in years.
You know what you gotta do?
Grip it and rip it.
Or... Oh, now that is some Happy Gilmore!
Everyone is talking about the comeback kid, Happy Gilmore.
Happy knee.
Yeah, baby!
Happy Gilmore 2, only on Netflix July 25th. Rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Q, we are a few days away from camp opening up. You excited?
Definitely.
You've been asking for summer to end, man. You've been asking for football to come back. You got your wish.
We don't need summer. Like I'm really sad because I'm doing a well-being check on all my fat friends. It's been really hot. Like I haven't seen that many fat people since this 90-degree heat wave. Fat people, can y'all check in? Are y'all doing okay? I have not seen fat people on the street since it got really hot. This needs to be investigated.
It's in Chicago. Shout out to Chicago, greatest city in the world. It's illegal for them to cut your energy off during the summer. They
can't cut their heat off during the winter either.
That's exactly right. Shout out to Chicago. Look, places, cities. I'm not gonna even say no names, but other cities that I've been in, like the one I'm in currently, they don't get no F. They cut your shit off. You go suffer. How do I know this? Don't ask me. Don't ask me how.
Times is hard. People out there listening, like, share, and subscribe because we want to keep our heat and our air conditioning and food on our table. It don't cost you no money to like, share, and subscribe, but it can get us money. Please don't let us get put out of our dwellings. Come on. Help us out.
That's why you ain't seen no fat people because they in the crib. They got their air on.
I don't blame them.
They're not suffering. The Chicago Bears, like I said, they start camp this weekend. Rookies report on the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. That's Saturday, right?
Saturday.
Yeah.
Don't get in no trouble Friday night, rookies. That last hurrah before camp, don't get in no trouble. Shout out Quinshon Junkins. I really liked him as a running back, but man, we might have dodged a bullet. Stop beating women up too.
As you know, during the summer, especially as content creator, we got to scrape the bowl for content, right? Yeah, so NBA season's over. You got it's the dog days of summer in the baseball. Football's on a break. So only thing you're doing is doing lists, doing Jordan versus LeBron arguments, and you're waiting for somebody to get arrested so you can talk about that. And guess what we got?
Somebody got arrested.
Somebody got arrested. And I think we can kick it off right there, Q. Quinshon Junkins, as you already said, another DV case for the NFL player. He was in jail. I think he bonded out finally. He finally got to see the judge. So I'm glad you brought that up about Quinshon Junkins. This is more important than just a run-of-the-mill DV case. for an NFL player. This is actually tied to all those second round picks that hasn't signed their deal yet. You peeped that situation, though, Q?
Diabolical on the Browns and Texans. Could this be that they did this on purpose to get a advantage over the rest of the league by fully guaranteeing their second round picks to make sure that everybody else's is the holdout? Because we're starting training camp this weekend, and they're the only 2 second round picks signed. And while second round picks aren't as prestigious as first round picks, half of these guys are expected to come in and contribute to their team in their first year. The Bears got 3 guys who are are supposed to be competing for starting spots.
Mm-hmm.
Luther Burden was competing for that slot receiver role, that third receiver role as a starter. Trapillo is in a training camp mini camp battle with Braxton Jones and Kyron. I don't want to butcher his name.
Amagachi.
Yeah. So I mean, this is big. This is big. These guys are some of these guys are dependent on to be starters. Shamar Stewart is obviously going to be in a rotation. He's probably not overtaking Dexter, Grady, and Billings, but he's that 4th defensive tackle in a rotation. So yeah, this is big. These guys can't afford to miss time.
Especially Luther Burden, who's missed all of OTAs. His presence at camp is vital, to say the least. But let's rewind back to Quinshon Judkins. So he got locked up for DV, and he was one of the 30 round 2 players that haven't signed their deal. What is the first thing you do when you get locked up, Q? What are those first things you start thinking about?
Well, I don't talk, and then I contact my lawyer.
Once you contact, lawyers cost money, right? So
yeah.
The first thing I remember, younger version of me.
You don't get locked up anymore.
Exactly. I don't.
Learning experiences.
Right.
Learning experiences.
I have grown. So younger version of me.
I have grown also. I learned to stop leaving evidence.
Good thing we've grown. Growth. Shout out to growth and development.
Shout out to growth and development. The other thing I be thinking of when I get locked up, and shout out to my brown people, is I hope I'm not in a bullpen full of guys from Little Village. That's gonna be active. It's another thing. It's another thing I actually hope for. You don't want to be in that bullpen.
Not with them guys. Shout out to them, but not with them guys. Not Little Village. None of the guys from the lawn. No, none of the guys from the lawn. None of the people east of Tarrytown.
No, you don't want to be in there. They finna get on that with you in there.
Humboldt Park.
Words you don't want to hear when you in the bullpen. What you is.
Yeah. First thing I thought about was like, damn, did I just mess up my money? I got to get out of here before I got to be back at work. And I'm sure Mr. Judkins, who's negotiating a contract, a 7-figure deal, was like, damn, did I just mess up my chance at a guaranteed deal?
And you did.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
So all those other guys is out there that's holding out for a fully guaranteed. The market's going to get a lot lower. The way I see it is the pressure is about to be on him to sign that contract, and he's definitely not getting that fully guaranteed now, which is going to lower the ceiling for everybody else, the 29 other guys. And they're going to be like, Quinshon Judkins, who was drafted, number 4 in the second round?
I remember being mad because we wanted Quinshon and Travion to slide. And yeah, they went early. I think Trayvon went 1 pick before Burden, and Quinshon went early in the second round. He had to be number 3 or number 4. Got picked in the second round.
Yeah, so if the number, like you said, 3 or 4 draft pick in that round is signing for, let's say 75% guarantee. I want to preface it this way: the first 3 years of their contract is guaranteed. It's that 4th year that's not guaranteed. Higgins, who the Texans drafted, he signed a fully guaranteed, and so did Schlesinger for the Cleveland Browns. They both signed fully guarantees, all 4 years guaranteed. Judkins, he's probably going to that fourth year for him is probably going to be let's say 75% guaranteed. If he's getting 75%, everybody else is going to slot in where they fit in. So Burton, his pen is hitting the paper sometime soon. That's why I'm not too concerned. I don't think he's going to miss too much time in camp. He is going to miss out on those crucial first few days for a rookie. You know, when you do all the orientations, like how not to get scammed. Shout out to Dallas Turner and all that type of stuff.
How does that happen in this day and age?
I don't know how anybody is not, especially somebody his age. Like some things it's got to be innate, right? The way he got scammed it blew my mind.
Hopefully, his ability to understand a scam is as developed as it is to understand run blocking schemes. Let's hope we get him washed away by Tooney and Dahlman when we pull and do zone schemes. Fall right in that trap. Stay consistent, Dallas. Be consistent with who you are. Any more guys developing in that front seven?
So Burton, I anticipate Burton to be in camp no later than the second official day of camp. If it goes past that, if we're doing this show next week on next Wednesday, and he's still out of camp, then I have a problem. But I don't think it's going to get that far.
Let's hope not, because Trapillo might be a really important call. Depending on, I haven't heard any latest updates on Braxton Jones if he's 100% full recovered heading into camp. But we can't be down to just Kyron on the left side on camp. So yeah, this is big. This is vital.
We've seen what it looks like when we're down to just Kyron on the left side.
It's not good.
No.
And let's hope he improves a lot. I'm going to give him like I said, I know you want to be through with the guy. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope he doesn't treat me like Vita treated me last year.
Yeah, so like I said, I fully expect Mr. Burton, Trapillo, and Shamar to be meeting up with Ryan Poles very soon. But speaking of Ryan Poles and pen to paper, you heard what he got lately. Christmas came early for the Ryan Poles family. He's got a contract extension. I think he's got a new 5 more years added to his deal. So
with Ben Johnson, yes.
Yeah. I've got my opinions on that, but I'm gonna start with you. I'm gonna let you lead off. When you heard that the Chicago Bears extended Ryan Poles, did it meet you like, you know what? That's a good take because you want him synced up with Ben Johnson. He's done a good job. I'm not gonna put words in your mouth. Where did it go for you?
It was a surprise because Ryan Poles is a very polarizing GM, in my opinion. But while he's made tons of great moves, I'm not going to deny, you drafted Caleb and Rome Odunze in the first round. And I personally believe these guys will be leading the franchise for the Bears offense for the next decade of a great chapter in Bears football. He landed Ben Johnson. Great move. I think this is a guy that can lead Chicago for the next decade. But Ryan Poles' hits thus far have been outweighed by his misses. There are some disastrous misses on his resume. The Eberflus hire, trading a second-round pick, which ended up being number 32, which is kind of a first-round pick for Chase Claypool, dealing away Roquan Smith in his prime and only getting a second-round pick back. Dealing away Justin Fields, who was heading into camp as the Jet starter and only getting a 6th-round pick. So the misses kind of outweigh the hits. And then on top of that, we're looking at a guy heading into his 4th year that has not had a winning season yet. The best season that he's led the Bears to under his watch has been a 7-win season. So you're rewarding a guy who hasn't yet rewarded the team. So while I do got faith that this ship is turning around, but I just don't understand the timing of the 5-year extension. If that was um, dependent on getting Ben Johnson in the building where Ben Johnson wanted security of his GM getting 5 years, I would understand that. But you already had Ben Johnson in the building, and this extension is announced before training camp. So it's kind of puzzling that the Bears went and did this. I think that Ryan Poles has more to prove before you give him that type of extension.
I agree with that. I think that Ryan Poles getting this extension is just more so with the Bears patting themselves on the back for a job well done in the offseason.
Off-season champions again.
Right. Three-peat. Last time I checked, they don't give banners for off-season champs. Last time I checked, you only get banners and financial rewards for what you do when it matters. In season, postseason. A postseason, someplace that Ryan Poles has not been. Q, you said the misses outweigh the hits. Miss Chase Claypool. Miss trading Roquan for just a second-round pick. Miss trading Justin Fields for just a 6th-round pick. Miss Velus Jones draft. And so on and so forth. Ryan Bates. Risk Nate Washington. Nate Washington? That's his name?
No. But we don't need to have his name.
Yeah.
it was a Nate, and I'd rather not remember. That was a bad miss, too. I forgot the bad miss. And even though Darnell Wright is a solid right tackle, at this point you missed on passing up Jalen Carter for Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright is a solid guy. Jalen Carter is a all-pro on a Super Bowl winner and a foundational piece of a defense. Darnell Wright is not a foundational piece. If he was a foundational piece, you wouldn't have had to get Tooney and Dahlman. And I mean, you need to address those positions anyways, but Tooney and Dahlman are the best 2 guys in that offensive line right now, and Darnell Wright is a third, and right now a distant third.
I wouldn't even say third. I think he's the 4th.
Is he behind Jonah Jackson and Braxton Jones?
Jonah Jackson is going to be a starter, correct?
Yeah.
Jonah Jackson is
a Pro Bowler. Yeah, so yeah, I guess 4th. And I think from my evaluation, even though I have mixed feelings on Braxton Jones and his future here, I think Braxton is a better pass blocker, pass protector. And I think that's verified by the fact Darnell Wright hasn't been tried at left tackle.
And I'm glad you brought those up. So anybody that wanted to argue like, yeah, but his job was to tear down the roster. His job was to build it back up, and he's still doing his job. He's doing his job. I hear you. I get that. And most of the draft picks that he drafted are still on the roster, so you can't give him a final grade for that yet. The guy, he did fix the offensive line this offseason, even though he should have did it last offseason. We haven't seen how that's going to play out yet. So yes, I'm not saying fire him for this. I'm not saying they should have fired him. I'm saying the extension could have waited. The extension you could have basically made him earn it. Q, Jed Hoyer. Jed Hoyer helped bring a ring
Jed Hoyer. Man, doing God's work over there on the north side.
Right. As the general manager of the Chicago Cubs, Jed Hoyer built a World Series champion. Now, after Theo left and Jed Hoyer was promoted to president of baseball operations, he's on his last year of his contract with the Cubs. His rebuild has been mixed. The Cubs haven't been to the playoffs none since he's been the president of baseball ops. Well, since his rebuild, and that was 2021 by my mistake. It was 2021, right? So if the Cubs, who has a title in the last 10 years, can say, hey, you need to prove it. If they can say that, then the Bears can definitely say it, because they haven't had a title in the last 40 years.
And to add to your point, you said a lot of his draft picks are still under contract. There's one thing about his draft picks. Suppose never drafted a guy that's become a Pro Bowler. And as a GM who's had 3 top 10 picks, um, and a bevy of second round picks and third round picks, that's a little concerning. I think there's a little asterisk there because I think Caleb and Rome under Ben Johnson's careful watch, I think these guys can blossom into top players at their position. I also think Kyler Gordon's a guy that could become a Pro Bowler. But this is his 4th draft class.
This will be his 4th, yeah.
Okay, somebody has to become a Pro Bowler. Somebody has to become elite around their position. So yeah, to your point about the draft picks and the people talking about the rebuild, things have to come to fruition. You've had enough draft picks. Even and Ryan Poles was fired. One of his guys on the roster has become Jalen Dennis' 2nd Pro Bowl now, right?
Ryan Pace.
Well, I called him Post. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ryan Pace. You see that he drafted Jalen Johnson, who's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He drafted Roquan Smith, who's a All-Pro. So I mean, the bar has been set kind of low by Bears fans with the Ryan Poles excuses, and I'm not anti Ryan Poles. I'm on the same thought train that you are. I don't want him fired, but at the same time, he's got to prove, he's got to earn this extension. Extension has been far from earned.
Yeah, agreed. Because let's just say, worst case scenario, this season doesn't go the way we liked it. Let's say it's a 8-win season, which is an improvement on 5 wins. Get me wrong, but it would be a disappointing season based on everything you've done in the offseason, right?
Yeah.
And if you have that type of season, the eyeballs, the fingers are going to go right back to Ryan Poles. Like, hey, bro, you're just not clicking with what we need to get done. But you just extended them 5 more seasons. So we're gonna
at least make it through halfway through that contract,
right? At what point do you say, you know what? We're just not a good fix. What you want to do and what we need are just not clicking. So I would say this is the definition of insanity, right? To continue on going on down that path, because you're steady doing the same thing, but you're expecting a different result. That's not how things are done. So, but now we're married to Ryan Poles for another 5 years, and again, I don't think this is what's going to happen this season. But in the event it does, now we're just looking like, so we got to deal with this for another 4 years, right?
Finding a new job is stressful, but with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
If this season flames out again, we just extended them for 5 seasons, and I've just seen 4 seasons of nothing, of no playoff ball. Why would I think the next 4 years would be better?
Well, the thing is, if this year isn't good, and you walked away with the best coaching hire of the offseason, then something that's to point to roster construction. And heading into year 4, this is Poles' roster. There is no excuses to be made. These players are yours. The only guys that are still from the Pace and Nagy era are guys you chose to extend. So this is completely your roster. This is another coaching hire that you made. I know some people try to argue that Eberflus wasn't his hire, but everything we've heard from Poles is that Eberflus was his hire. That's the guy he liked. That's the guy he wanted, whether the Bears headhunter came up with 10 names or not. So, I mean, there has to be accountability. And that's the one thing that we've been missing with the Bears organization is accountability and knowing who is to blame. I mean, for years, I mean, you've been a long time Bears fan. Um, remember, they didn't have a GM; they had player personnel a director. Remember Mark Hatley. So there was still questions of George McCaskey. Is he meddling in personnel decisions? Well, recently the Bears, ownership has left uh, um, you know, player selections up to the front office. This is Ryan Poles. This is his baby. This is what he's crafted. His DNA is all over this roster. So yeah, I agree with you. That's the scary thing. If this year doesn't go the way we planned, you're kind of tied with Ryan Poles. Not kind of. You are tied with him, at least for another 2 years, good or bad. He's here for 2025 and 2026 at the minimum. I would say through 2027 at the minimum.
Well, the good thing about that is Kevin Warren has already shown that he don't care about letting people play out their contract. He'll fire you if you think you just suck.
I like that.
We need more of that. And also, Kevin Warren, we need that stadium on the lakefront. Cut the crap.
What's the holdup with that? Second round picks ain't in camp, and we still ain't got a stadium. Pick one. I thought shovels were supposed to be in the ground. Was it at the end of this year or next year?
They wanted shovels on the ground this year.
All I've been seeing is boots on the ground and people doing line dances. I need my shovels in the crowd.
I'm tired of. I'm sick of everything. I'm sick of boots on the ground. I'm sick of fans in the
Take the
air.
raggedy boots off y'all feet, y'all.
I'm sick of this.
It's cool at first. Take the musty boots off your feet. Stop twirling around. Twister got to be rolling over in his grave right now. Listen to y'all mash his song up with the country guy. Y'all got to stop. Enough is enough. Y'all will take a trend and trend it to death.
Welcome to Sephora. I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey. I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi,
Let's get you a basket.
This is why summer has to end. Cause y'all got to take them damn boots. Y'all got to take them damn boots off.
I'm sick of it too. But all right, but before summer ends, we got fantasy football. We got to have our draft.
Don't be unprepared. Don't be unprepared, people. It's coming faster than you know it. Pause, no Diddy, Viagra, but it's coming quicker than you. What's today? July the 17th.
Today's the 16th.
People, you'll be drafting in a little over a month.
That's right. So that's where we come in. That's where we come in to play, Q. We're gonna help these guys figure some things out. But this is our third year doing this. We're gonna talk about this from a Bears perspective. Let's start with, and for those that are maybe new to listening to this, we're talking from a 12-team PPR perspective. But PPR, scratch that for right now. Listen to our next episode for more of that. Let's talk about defenses right now from a fantasy perspective. Q, how important is a defense when you're trying to draft or mold your team in your fantasy draft?
It is very important according to your league settings. There are some leagues where defenses get good points for touchdowns, turnovers, sacks. If your league is giving points for things like sacks, good points for turnovers, it is paramount. A defense can get you 20 points. This is important. Or it can get you negative points. I'm not saying go out and draft a defense within the first 6 rounds. Well, I guess that would depend on your settings. Because I've been in some league with some crazy settings. But it's not important to prioritize them early in the draft. But it is very important to make sure that you draft the right defense. That is important.
And the right defense for most settings, the right defense is the defense that has one, can pressure a quarterback, and two, has a very good soft schedule. Those are the two things that I'm most concerned with. I want a defense that has people, like it has edge rushes or is blitz crazy. Shout out to the Vikings. Somebody they get to the quarterback a lot because interceptions, turnovers, touchdowns, those things regress. Those things are you can't predict those type of things.
No,
but you can plan for sacks. And sacks, depending on your league settings, they're at least 2 points. So if you got a good defense that holds teams to 24 and under most weeks, gets you 3 to 6 sacks in any given week, that's a great defense to have. That defense can mess around and give you, like you said, 15 to 20 points.
Sacks lead to fumbles, lead to interceptions, lead to defensive touchdowns. So you want to get with a defense that can get to the quarterback.
Most important thing to judge. So to bring it around to the Chicago Bears, where do we think the Bears stand for as a fantasy defense?
So most leagues have 12 teams. You're looking at 12 teams. So there's going to be more than, well, shout out to the guys, or not shout out to the guys who like to hoard 2 or 3 defenses on their bench just to keep it away from other teams. So if I'm in a league where we're drafting defenses, would the Bears be a defense I prioritize? Not necessarily. But they are a defense I would definitely have in my queue, or if I miss out on a defense that I want, they'd be a defense I spin it, later in the draft and get. So the plus side of the defense is that I think of this is Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is a guy who will create pressure from the linebacker position. We've heard great things from camp about Ruben Hyperlights. And he's a guy with tremendous speed. So he's a guy that if they use him in the role Dennis Allen has used, he's a guy that can net 3 sacks. You got Kyler Gordon, who's shown great potential from blitzing from the nickel back. I expect this defense to get to the quarterback much more under Dennis Allen tutelage and thus create more turnovers. So the Bears, I think they're fantasy relevant. I don't think they're fantasy priority. However, I think you're going to want to be able to play the Bears defense more often than not. They're going to have games against the Giants. They're going to have games against the Saints. They're going to have games against the Browns. They're going to have games against the Raiders. These are opportunities that can literally win 4 weeks. Now, the negative thing is I really do not like playing the Ravens and Bengals back-to-back from a Bears fantasy defense perspective. I mean, you got 2 elite quarterbacks, maybe the best 2 in the game, and they've got weapons around them. That would be 2 weeks that I would avoid the Bears defense. So if I were in a league where you have a team defense, if I drafted the Bears, I would be one of those guys you don't like, because I would want to stash another defense for those weeks, and also weeks you play the Lions. So those are 4 weeks where I would want to have a defense stash. I wouldn't want to put the Bears defense as a starter in those 4 games. Also, I think I would love to play the Bears defense against the Steelers. Like, I got a feeling Aaron Rodgers either doesn't make it this year or he's cooked.
I like where your head's at, Q. Who you play on your schedule is very important, and that's 4 to 5 weeks. Because I don't have much faith in the Packer, or not the Packer, but I don't have as much faith in the Steelers offense. So I would favor the Bears defense in that matchup as well. And you mentioned the Giants, you mentioned the Steelers, you mentioned the Saints. Giants is week 10, the Steelers is week 12. That's leading up to the fantasy playoffs. That's when you want to start making your move. Setting yourself up for a run. However, the Bears in the fantasy playoffs, again, fantasy playoffs mostly will probably start around week 15, right? They got the Browns, they got the Packers, they got the 49ers, in the championship week?
Two of those three, well, actually, all three of those.
Yeah.
Jordan Love is the guy that turns the ball over. That's who he is. I know the Packers have been a pretty decent offense, but if the Bears can pick him twice, take one back to the house, that's a good week. And we don't know what the 49ers offense is going to be. I don't think the 49ers could be a team in transition. The Bears are worth a gamble from where we sit in July in that fantasy playoffs. You don't know if McCaffrey's going to last. Purdy is a guy who had kind of an up and down year last year. And I mean, he lit us up last year, but down the stretch, he didn't do anything. I know because I lost in the first round because I started Purdy, and he went against the Rams and did absolutely nothing. Also, yeah, the Bears might be one of those teams who yield good fruit. We also got to look at the Vikings. I know they have a talented roster too, but we don't know anything. We don't know how J.J. McCarthy is going to respond in the regular season. There could be some growing pains, and those pains could be when the Bears playing.
Yeah, I definitely like how they finished their season off. Especially, I said, starting from week 10, they've got some. They might be a good team to have in your, as you pointed out earlier, a good stash. I don't know if I'm necessarily targeting them in my draft. At least I'm not focused on them. Let's play a thought game. You want to look for a defense. You taking the Bears, or if the Ravens are available, which one would you take?
Oh, I'm taking the Ravens. The Ravens defense because thing you look at with the Ravens defense is not only do they have a loaded roster on that side. I love Malachi Starks. I love the value they got on Mike Green. You know about Roquan Smith. You know about Marlon Humphrey. You know about Kyle Hamilton. You know about the young guy Nate Wiggins. There's good players on the Ravens defense. And the other benefit of the Ravens defense is they have a highly powered offense. Henry, Lamar Jackson, those guys put points on the board. So a lot of times the Ravens defense, just aside from being good, they're playing with a lead. So when you play with a lead, teams are dropping back, interceptions happen, sack fumbles happen. And then the Ravens are playing in a division outside of the Bengals. There's not a lot of firepower on offense in that division. You got the Steelers, you got the Browns. So yeah, I'm definitely targeting the Ravens. Like I said, if I get down to those late rounds where you target defenses and I see a sleeper guy still on my boards, I have no problem taking that guy and selling for the Bears in another round. But no, the Bears would not be a team defense I target in the fantasy draft. But I'm telling you all, they're a team I can settle for and feel okay with. There's still a lot of questions on defense for me to just say, this is who I want to draft. These aren't the Lovey years or the first Matt Nagy year.
Bears or the Bills?
I got to go Bills because one thing they do really well against their division, especially they do really well. They seem to shut down Tyreek Hill every time. The Patriots are still a developing team. They're still rebuilding. They got two against them. We don't know what the Jets will be in their first year with Fields, and the Jets offense was a good last year. I think Fields would be an upgrade over the gimpy Aaron Rodgers, and just that whole team. Not necessarily saying Justin Fields is better than Aaron Rodgers. It just might be. Well, there you have it. He'll be a better fit. But yeah, I like the Bills defense just for the fact that what they'll be going against in the AFC East and the history of what they've done in the AFC East. So I like the Bills defense.
Both Bills and Ravens, take this down as a nugget. They both have the benefit of playing in a division where they're the best offense and the best defense. In fact, not only the best offense, the best defense, the offenses in their division are pretty mid.
Yeah.
At best. Texans or the Bears?
Not all meals are created equal. For instance, breakfast has the spicy egg McMuffin for a limited time, and lunch doesn't. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
And that's a tough one.
I think the Texans have the same benefit that the Ravens and the Bills have. I mean, look who's in the AFC South. The Colts. Who's their quarterback? Don't know. The Jaguars.
Doesn't matter who their quarterback is. That's a quarterback you expect to get turnovers and sacks on. Whether they go with Flacco or Anthony Richardson, you should be able to capitalize on that.
The Jaguars and the Titans. Two offenses you don't care about.
You told me I'm going Texans because the Texans got two guys that are bona fide guys that get to the quarterback in Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of things you want to search out for. How about another one? These are all AFC teams. The Denver Broncos or the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I'm taking Broncos.
Easily.
Yeah. Even though they beat the Chiefs twice, the Chiefs' offense the last couple of years hasn't been something to, and this sounds crazy, they're not something that where I look at and say, oh, I got to avoid starting my defense against them. In fact, I believe I started the Chargers defense against the Chiefs and actually came out pretty favorable. So, yeah, the Broncos are playing in a division where Pete Carroll is going with the Raiders, and I'm not saying that Pete Carroll won't do a good job, but the Raiders' offense isn't going to be. I don't anticipate it being explosive. Mm-hmm. Even if they are effective, they're going to be a ball control, run oriented team. So yeah, I would go Broncos.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Kansas City Chiefs, their offense is coming back to earth. I don't know what to expect from Vegas just yet, and I do know that the Chargers are going to be run heavy. But those things aside, we do know the Denver Broncos got some legit studs on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and they added another corner.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to score on them. The Dallas Cowboys with Micah Parsons or the Chicago Bears.
I'd go Bears. I'd go Bears because I think the Cowboys, they play 4 games where those can be shootouts. The Eagles, the Commanders, they're not only facing good quarterbacks, but they're facing games that could be fast paced. Like the defense can do good things, the Cowboys defense, but there could be some explosive plays on the other end when you're dealing with guys like Barkley and Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels and A.J. Brown.
Sidebar, Terry McLaurin has demanded a trade.
What?
Yeah,
I know he in that contract. He demanded a trade.
He said, trade me now.
Now, when the Commanders traded for Debo, did they give him new money?
I don't think Debo got new money. I'm not mistaken. Okay. I don't think he did.
That is something man. I think a lot of that is some posturing that F1 is doing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't take a trade request lightly. I think his first move is he wants to be in Washington. But if that holdout drags on and he's behind in camp, Washington offense might not. I think last year was a very magical year for Jaden Daniels and Washington. I expect some regression, and I don't love the Debo fit. I know people like the name. I don't love the Debo fit. I think people are expecting, because he's a good player, that he's a good wide receiver. Now, I want people to understand what I'm saying. Debo's not a guy that you line up on the outside and you say, go create separation and make it easy for the quarterback. He's the guy you scheme to get the ball in his hand. Very, very important. Not a guy that's going to high point balls and win one-on-one. So, yeah, Debo's a big name that the Commanders got, and I know people were really excited. I'm not that excited about that Debo to Commanders thing.
All right. So we did say the Bears. You'll take the Bears defense over the Cowboys.
I'm still going to take them. Cowboys are a team with a new front office, and I think I know they got a couple corners, but I think Bland and Diggs both give up some big plays.
They make some big ones too.
They do make some big ones. They give up big plays, and I just think I'm gonna edge the I'm gonna edge the Bears defense because I'm more comfortable with what Dennis Allen is as a play caller and what he gives for a defense. This one
All right.
is not just based on personnel; it's based on my faith in Dennis Allen.
Okay. So Bears defense over the Cowboys defense, it has Travion Diggs, Michael Parsons, and our good buddy Jack Sanborn. So, all right. So the Bears are
and Eberflus.
And Eberflus. That's right. That's right. We gonna smoke them.
He's defended himself with the Caleb Williams news. He said that didn't happen. We coached him. I coached him. Little bit
And
of
let me,
ass saving going on with Eberflus.
yeah. Hey, as you should do. You should defend yourself. However, I'm gonna go out here on a limb and say this. As somebody who's been doing this podcast for this will be our third season doing this. Yep. And, so basically most of Eberflus's tenure as a Chicago Bears head coach, I can tell you quite confidently that he's a liar. So we got the Bears. So we've talked about 5 teams right now. We got the Bears at least number 5 in the defensive rankings. If we're doing a draft, we would let 5 defenses go off the board before we think about the Bears. How about this? 6th team we talk about Philadelphia Eagles or the Chicago Bears.
I'm taking the Eagles
easily. Not even a question.
Too much talent over there. Too much talent, and we get to see the Giants once. They get to see the Giants twice. I'm sure they're going to make short work of whatever quarterback is in there. Whether at some point, I think Jackson Dart will be the starter, and the benefit for the Bears is I think the Bears play the Giants around week 10.
Yeah.
By that time, the Jackson Dart regime should have started. What do we give Russ? 6 weeks? 5, 6 weeks? 7 weeks?
I give him the first 2 months. So I give him 8 weeks, depending on when the Giants' bye is.
Yeah, the Giants. I mean, crazy things happen in the NFL. I don't anticipate anything crazy going with the Giants other than at the end of the year, Brian Daboll gets fired, and they're picking in the top 5 of the draft and probably replacing Jackson Dart with Archie Manning. That's the only crazy thing. They could be moving on from their first round pick less than a year after taking them.
Mm-hmm. All right. How about I'm not going to even waste time with the NFC South. Falcons, Panthers, Saints, Bucks. I wouldn't take any of them defenses over the Chicago Bears. What about you?
No, those defenses haven't shown consistency. The Falcons could be fantasy relevant. I do love that they addressed the edge rush position twice. They took my boy Jalen Walker. I do like that, although I don't think they should have traded a future first to go back into the mid-first round. But hey, they did what they were confident to do. But yeah, I agree with you. Although the Panthers' defense could be much improved.
I think it's going to be improved. I think their whole team is going to be improved. I think they're on the way. I think they're on the right path. What about the NFC West? Cardinals or the Bears?
Cardinals is another defense that I think is much improved. I love the Cardinals draft. I did. You took Will Johnson, but there's questions of his speed and his health. I don't think the Cardinals are going to face. Even though the Rams have been a good team, but the Rams aren't lighting it up like they have in the past. The advantage of the Cardinals is I think they're going to be playing 6 times against. We don't know what the Seahawks are going to be. I'm still taking Bears. Again, Dennis Allen is I'm confident in Dennis Allen, which is why I think I'm going to take the Bears over the Cardinals. Yeah.
Bears or the LA Rams?
I'm going Rams. Weak division, and man, the Rams have just stockpiled talent on a defensive line ever since. that's how you build a succession plan for your aging stars. I mean, you drafted Jared Verse, uh, Kobe. They put guys in that defensive line, and they quietly rebuilt that front seven. I got to take the Rams. They were a very good defense last year down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. Very much. After they got healthy, they became a dangerous squad. So we got the Bears at number 7 right now. Bears or the New York Jets? Sauce just got his money, so you think he's going to have a bounce back year, especially with Aaron Glenn?
Man, that was Sauce got a lot of money. That's another contract where my eyebrows kind of got raised. Um, I would take the Bears. I would take the Bears because I think there's going to be more stability on the offense. I think one of the things you worry about with the Jets is if that offense doesn't click, you leave that defense on the field a lot and you leave them exposed to getting gashed in the second half. I think that was a problem with the Jets last year. So um, I would take the Bears over the Jets defense.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem they had last year. They had a terrible offense led by a terrible quarterback. They've upgraded the quarterback a little bit, but I don't see it. I don't see the offense getting too much better. So Bears number 8, Bears or the Cleveland Browns?
Oh, Bears.
Mm.
Cleveland's just a mess offensively. I mean, I think you're going to see 3 guys start a quarterback over there. I think you're not escaping without seeing Flacco, Shador, and Gabriel.
So you think that's going to have an effect on how the defense performs throughout the season?
Most certainly. And I think the Browns are a team with a very respectable defense. But you saw last year, a defense can only serve so much while the offense is having its problems. I do like the running back the Browns selected. But yeah, their offense in a little bit of transition too. I don't know how this offseason drama is going to affect Quinshawn going forward, but a good running back is not enough to save your offense if your quarterback position is unstable. Definitely taking the Bears over Cleveland's defense. And the Browns also got to face the Bengals and Ravens twice. Those are 4 games where you're not going to want to start them.
I agree. I do think Cleveland has some dogs on defense. They got the makeup for a good defensive team. I mean, they're only a season removed from Myles Garrett being Defensive Player of the Year, and they were a really good defense throughout the whole season. That season,
they were.
And they still have majority of those players there. I do think their defense is going to be the best unit for that squad, but schedule wise, and I think the flux of the offense will weigh on them. So I think this is where we would disagree. I would probably draft Cleveland's defense ahead of the Bears. However, I'm not planning to keep that defense as my defense throughout the whole season. I will be trying to flip them at some point.
Because I don't think you want to start them against the Ravens or Bengals. I don't think you want to start any. I mean, you don't want to start them those 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Bears or the Pittsburgh Steelers?
See, Pittsburgh is another defense that I like from an individual standpoint, but the offense could be putting them in harm's way.
Mm.
And that's the issue I have with some of these defenses in fantasy is they could get worn down. And then, when teams get to, late October, early November, and they only got 3 wins, 4 wins, injuries pile up on defense, guys start throwing in the towel. We saw that with the Bears defense. Started off as a good fantasy relevant defense last year. And then, by week 10 and 11, you saw them in free agent pools.
Yep.
I'm going to take the Bears defense on the precipice that I think the Bears will be playing more relevant football late in the season. I think the Steelers thing could get messy. I think they're doing a disservice to Mike Tomlin. I think this will probably be the year where the Steelers are finally going to have to go with a rebuild.
I So the same thing for me as far as what I said about the Cleveland Browns. I would probably draft the Steelers ahead of the Bears. However, I do like the Bears, how they finish up the season and going into the playoffs. And as we've seen with the Steelers in the last handful of years, they tend to fall off, their defense included, once the calendar switches over to around Thanksgiving, especially into December, they get to fall off. Now, another thing to keep an eye on, if you are thinking the same way I'm thinking, as far as like I will be targeting the Steelers in a fantasy draft. TJ Watt is holding out. Well, he's holding in or whatever he's doing. He's not happy about his contract situation. So keep an eye on that, because that might affect some things. Even though I don't think he's going to not show up. But
Also with the Steelers, how did you feel about trading Minka and bringing in Jalen Ramsey?
I think it's a slight improvement. I think Jalen Ramsey, even though he's not Jalen at his highest,
he's not.
But I think Minka fell off enough to that what Jalen is right now is an improvement. But it's not a significant improvement, because it's not Jalen at his highest, but Minka, you got rid of Minka at the perfect time, because Minka started to show that he's not that he's not the guy anymore.
Jalen and Minka, I believe both were right at 30.
Uh-huh.
And they're both not the players they've been at their best. I think Jalen Ramsey is still a good football player, but I think it's that time where he needs to be at safety. I think that time is approaching very fast, and I think at some point in the season, the Steelers will realize that Jalen's future is at safety.
Fun fact, both Jalen Ramsey and Minka Fitzpatrick, younger than Kevin Byard.
I know.
All right. So I saved the best for last. So we got the Bears about number 8, 9, about right there. Q. Bears or the Detroit Lions?
Tough. I like the Lions defense. Like you said, having edge rushers is important. Aiden Hutchinson, very good edge, coming off an ugly injury. We expect him to be 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the crazy thing is, even though that was an ugly fracture, you kind of would rather break the tibia like that over tearing an Achilles or ACL, right? Am I right?
I kind of agree.
So they get those guys back, but you lose your defensive coordinator. Who's the defensive coordinator over there in Detroit right now?
I don't know his name. Some guy. He hasn't made a name for himself yet.
I'm going to say, and Detroit's back end really got exposed last year in the fantasy playoffs and in the real playoffs. And defense is so tricky. I mean, I know people love the Detroit Lions roster, and this might sound crazy. I really got the Bears and Lions in a kind of a pick 'em. I got to see the Lions defense. They've got some good guys back there. They got some. Who's what's the kid? I love that little nickelback / safety. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank right now. It's not football season.
Terrion Arnold.
That's one of them. What's the other guy? Branch.
Oh yeah.
I like Branch. I like Arnold. The Lions secondary, and this could be because of the injuries, they gave up a lot of big plays last year. I think when you look at the Bears defense over the first 6 weeks before they kind of threw in the towel, I think I was more comfortable with the Bears fantasy defense than the Lions fantasy defense. It's a lot of turmoil with the Lions. I'm really at a flip them. Maybe I slightly edge the Lions, but you don't have Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator. You got a lot of questions. The Lions fantasy defense was left a lot to be desired down the stretch last year.
I'm kind of with you on that one. I think the Lions, they deserve the benefit of doubt for what they've done over the last couple of seasons, especially with these players.
Benefit of doubt, yeah.
But without Aaron Glenn, it's tread lightly, proceed with caution. I think that's the best way to say that. So I wouldn't draft them ahead of any of the other teams we talked about. I would. They're definitely an 8th, 9th, 10th maybe defense that comes off the board. So in the same neighborhood as the Bears or the Vikings.
I think even though the Vikings got some question mark at quarterback, you're returning the same defensive coordinator. You've got pretty much the same front office. They didn't really lose anything. Even though I think Jonathan Allen, in the Minka Fitzpatrick, Jalen Ramsey thing, he's played his best football. They added him. I think the Lions, they added a couple guys that I think have played their best football, but these are guys that still have good football left in them. And you still got Greenwood on one edge. What's the guy with the two names? Van Hinkle, is that his name?
Van Ginkel.
Yeah, I think last year was, I don't want to say an anomaly, but I don't expect him to repeat that year he had last year. I think he played above his head. But I think the Vikings still return enough where you got to give them the nod over the Bears.
I agree. I think
if I drafted the Vikings defense with that little flag on my watch list, I would, if the Bears make it to free agency, I would put the Bears on my watch list.
Definitely. I thought the Vikings as a top 5 defense, especially going into the season. I would once someone pops the cherry on the defensive in the draft. I don't want to be the first team to draft a defense unless unless we get to like round 10 and no one's done it yet. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go grab the Ravens.
It doesn't matter what draft you're in. Somebody always does it. And when I say does it, there's got to be that one guy that takes a defense somewhere in the 7th round or 6th round. Every draft I've been in, somebody does it, and it pisses me off because why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
It pisses me off, and it makes me happy because that means that a good player can fall to me. But then the defensive run becomes annoying because once that one guy panics in the 7th or 8th round, then people are panicked. I don't think a defense should really go before the 9th, 10th round.
I agree. It's always the run always starts. The
defensive run starts always one round too early.
Mm-hmm. What's more annoying, the defense run, or the run on quarterbacks?
Got to be the run on quarterbacks, because why are you drafting 2 quarterbacks and we're not in a 2 quarterback system? Why do you got 2 guys in the first 10 rounds? We've been a part of those drafts together. And I've seen one guy draft Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray, and I'm like, why did you do that?
That's a waste of a roster spot. But to me, I think it's become more common for people to stop going for the quarterback in the first round and maybe in the first half of the second round. So like, just relax a little bit, just let it marinate. I think people have gotten out of that, but everyone's waiting for that cherry to get popped. And as soon as somebody drafts, fill in the blank. I'm not gonna tell you who my number 1 quarterback is. I'm not gonna tell you who my number 1 is. As soon as someone gets that first one, everyone goes to grab a quarterback.
Yeah, and no matter how many times we hear a strategy of don't select a quarterback within the first 2 rounds, when you're sitting at the end of the 2nd round and the guy you wanted goes off the board, you've got the security of knowing Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are going to give you a certain baseline of production. So I'm not mad at the person that sits at the end of the 2nd round and says, look, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson staring me in the face. I'm going to take one of the 2. I'm not mad at it. I'm just mad at once Lamar Jackson, I don't know if you've seen this, but I swear, once Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen gets picked, the other gets picked within the next 2 picks. Never fails. Once somebody takes one of those guys, the other one goes 2 picks later.
Mm-hmm. And you can set your watch to it. All right. Last team that we can talk about right now, Bears or the Green Bay Packers?
I'm going Bears.
Ooh, that's an upset.
I'm going Bears. I know Jair Alexander hasn't been on the field a lot. I still think they might end up missing that guy. And I call it a hunch. I think this is a year where the Packers defense, defense is regressing in the NFL, and when they regress, they regress. I think the Packers have played pretty good defense the last couple of years. Uh, I don't think the Packers got a franchise guy on that defense where you say, a guy like Urlacher who kind of carries a defense, a guy like T.J. Watt who carries a defense. I think injuries and to be fair, the Bears don't really have that cornerstone guy either. But I think when you look at the two rosters, the Bears have the best defensive player on their roster. And I think they got two guys who have the potential to be as good as the Packers. Who is the Packers' best defensive player? Would you say it's Xavier McKinney right now?
Oh, easily.
Okay.
Not even thinking about it.
Well, I think Jalen Johnson grades slightly higher because I think a corner is more important than a safety in today's NFL because just how many times teams are going to throw the ball on the perimeter. And then I think Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker can be just as good or better than McKinney. I know that sounds – I've watched both. I know McKinney right now you would grade him higher, but me and you both know what type of players Gordon and Brisker are when they're healthy and what type of abilities they have, especially when you got a Dennis Allen coming over who's going to utilize those guys more. So I think the Packers can be a defense that kind of tails a little bit, and I think the Bears defense can overtake them. I'm gonna go on a hunch because I feel like the Packers are a team that is kind of at a crossroads too. I think they've got a good coaching staff, but I can see the Packers team being one that has a rough year where they win 6 or 7 games, or they could be a team that once again wins above 10.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
You kind of sold me on that. So I think we've got the Bears as a top 10 defensive pick in our fantasy drafts. And not to even be ashamed about it. Do you, at what point do you take, I don't think you should ever take draft 2 defenses. But let's say you miss out on the top 10. At that point, do you take two defenses and just, just string?
No, I wouldn't draft 2 defenses. However, the thing is, I think when you head into the playoffs, I hate the guy that hoards defenses, but I think when you start to get late in the season, you should get 2 defenses. You should have 2 defenses on your roster because those matchups are everything late in the season. Very rarely do you, especially in modern times in the NFL, there aren't too many defenses that are just so dominant where you can only have one the entire season. So my thing is, okay, if I miss on a defense that I like, I'm going to take, my compensation, whatever defense that I get, but then I'm going to look at 5 or 6 defenses in that free agent pool, and I'm going to watch the first 2 weeks because the first 2 weeks can be telling. You see a lot of teams, you see a lot of top 10 defenses from the previous year fall off the next year. Remember, the Cowboys heading into 2024 were a highly thought of fantasy defense. They came off a very good 2023. And then 2024 wasn't so good for them. I don't think anybody was starting the Cowboys defense after week 8, unless it was a matchup dependent thing, but they weren't a defense you just set and forget. So, I don't recommend drafting 2, but I think that you need to put them on your watch list and eventually you need to spin the block and get that second defense you were looking at. But no, don't draft two of them. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Don't be, as Tiff would say,
you're full of shit.
We got the Bears at top 10 defense. I agree. You definitely want to play those matchups as the season go on. That's how you get titles. Kid, we got anything else, man? Next week, let's do the running backs. I think everyone's favorite position when it comes to fantasy football.
It is the most important. It's the foundation piece of your fantasy championship. You need a RB1. A RB1 can make or break your season.
All right. Let's get into that next episode, and we'll have our first training camp report. Yeah, let's can't wait. Let's break into that.
I'm so excited.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. Don't matter if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watch it on Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And to all the guys from Chicago, we say three things. Bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.